So we're practice test, calculus chapter 6. The sheet for this, number 1, should be log base 3 of 81, because we'll probably do a couple of these, but this is the one that fits for now. So first page, I'm saying 4 ln x, ln cotan x, 4 still, but to a power of 11/10, a 7, x to a power of 5 over 21, a 2 ln x, a 9, a 13 ln x, and best answer is going to be 8. Some math to simplify that one at the end. It would have been 64 to a power, but the power can get us down to 8.
What was 2?
2 was ln x.
What was 3?
ln cotan x. Anybody need help with how we jump through any of those hoops?
So could that be negative ln tan x also?
It could.
Okay.
Yeah, that would be a toss-up, what you would consider simpler, I guess.
What was 9?
13 ln x. Anybody need help with how those maneuver? That's all from a quiz that's long enough ago this year that we fixed it even on the grade period we're not on. Other people watching this videos in other years fixing the 6-1 to 4 might be alive on the grade period where you live, but that's not true for us in this year. Nothing from? Okay. To the back. 11 is 5 on top of x. 12 is negative 15 x to the 4th, and then e to the same power as before. 13 is 2 on top, x on the bottom, ln 3 also on the bottom. 14 is 7 to that same power of x times the ln of 7. 15 is a product rule, this plus that. It's 2x e to that same power plus 3x squared e to that same power. Sometimes the book likes to factor out a GCF there. I don't find that necessary. 16 is 5 to the same power, multiplying a 4, multiplying a cosine 4x, multiplying an ln of 5 in whatever order that happens to be.
What? Can you repeat that?
5 to the same power, multiplying a 4, multiplying a cosine 4x, and multiplying an ln 5. 17 is negative 3 on top, x on the bottom. 18 is a quotient rule. If at first you made a 16x to the 4th on the bottom, that's good. It's good to have a 16x to the 4th at some point. But that can simplify with some stuff on top. For my final answer, I was able to divide all the numbers by 4, and I was able to take an x off of each term. So my grand total answer is top of 1 minus 2 ln x, bottom is 4x cubed. 19 is a quotient rule. When e to the x multiplies to e to the x, you should temporarily have some e to the 2x's. But your e to the 2x's, there's going to be one of those that's a positive and one of those that's a negative, and they drop. Possibly, you'd have a moment where the bottom is e to the 2x and the top is e to the x, but that's not simplest yet. Simplest is to have 1 on top of e to the x. Or if you'd rather, e to the negative x. Those are both winning answers. 20, the original thing is part of the answer, times 3 fractions. None of which simplify this time, but if you remember in our old days on the quiz, usually those would sometimes have like 1 that would simplify. First fraction has 3x squared plus 7 over the x cubed thing, plus an 8x plus 5 over the 4x squared thing, minus and a 2x plus 3 over the x squared thing. Something on that.
What was 13?
13 was 2 on top, x on the bottom, ln 3 on the bottom.
Okay.
The quickest shortcut to do all of those logarithm derivatives, whether they're logs or ln's, put the original power on the top and put an x on the bottom. So like 11 had 5 on top, x on bottom. 13, 2 on top, X on bottom. 17, -3 on top, X on bottom. That you can do those all that way. The other logarithms that aren't the ln's, but the standard logarithms, you just have to remember to do ln of a number on the bottom too. Anything more to 20? 18. Repeat or like what happened?
First one repeat.
Repeat is 1 minus 2 ln x on top, 4x cubed on the bottom.
Oh, okay, I had that, I just didn't reduce it.
Okay. More to 20. Anything?
Is it legal on 19 to make it two fractions and do the grid of that? That's what I did and I
You
got
could.
the right answer, but
Yeah.
did that just get lucky?
I think so. Because on that one, since you only had one thing on the bottom, it's always legal when there's one thing on the bottom to split it in two and do each piece independently.
Okay.
But I wouldn't count on that always working.
Yeah, but on that one.
On that one certainly works, yep.
Oh, wow, okay.
Yep. Yeah, I think I had in mind to make you do a quotient rule, but I didn't think it through carefully enough and I left you a loophole. Anything more to 20? Okay. 21 is the finish of that previous quiz. 21 is 1/8 ln and then in bars sine 8x. 22 is 7 to that same power on top, 8 on the bottom, ln 7 on the bottom. 23 is 1/8 ln, and usually bars, but this time soften them into parentheses for 2x to the 4th plus 7, because that's guaranteed positive. 24 is 1/12 e to that same power. 25, you have to do a substitution. It doesn't fit a pattern that's on the card. U has to equal ln x. You have to find a du. Go, go, go. But grand total will be 1/14. And the ln of x can either be in parentheses getting squared, or it can be written like how we write the trig squares sometimes, if you like that. Anything to 25. 21. So that's just coming straight off the card basically. So cotan integral is ln bars sine stuff. The only thing you're responsible for other than finding that on the card would be to recognize the derivative of the 8x. The problem should have had an 8 when I created it, but it didn't. So if you put in that 8, you're gonna have to pay for that with a 1/8. Card might also have integral of cotan being negative ln bars cosecant, but that's messier. But card should have for integrals, integral cotan and integral tan.
Yeah, I remember doing that. I didn't write it down, I guess.
Okay. Did you switch cards?
No, I
Or you
didn't.
just never got it to your card?
I think I just never got it.
Okay. There's a page that would have it that you could grab it from.
No, I know what you're talking about.
It'd be in 6.4 somewhere.
Yeah.
More to 25? Okay. 26 starts what you did yesterday. So I would highly encourage you to fix the new quiz before we take the test, because it just helps you clean out whatever you missed on the test. By and large, this test is usually tricky. You have to be a good detailed-oriented person, basically. There's a lot of details that's easy enough to miss, so you just gotta be locked in on all the little details and be consistent about what you're doing. 26, we're hoping for 21,868, and if you like decimals, 0.06. 27 is 5.79%, and then dollars and cents, $1,070.80. 28 is a 20.68 years, and it's at 26,293. Most of that page yesterday was pretty good. It wasn't like unanimously perfect for everybody, but those first four were pretty solid.
What was the last number you said?
26,293.
Okay.
Anybody need help on the word problem part? 29 is -6, 30 is 2/3. I think there was one mistake yesterday on that pair, and it was just sort of like a basic mistake. It wasn't like you didn't understand what you were doing, you're just a human being and messed something up. Anything to 30?
What was 29?
Negative 6.
How?
2x plus 2 on top. 1 on the bottom. Give that. Derivative top, 2x plus 2. Derivative bottom, 1.
Okay, yeah.
Then you plug in the negative 4.
Okay.
More to 30.
Was it legal to do that one by factoring the top?
Yeah, you can factor cancel there. That's how we used to do those in chapter 2.
Yeah.
Anything from
That's-
chapter 2 is still legal. Like you could do number 30 exclusively with chapter 2 knowledge as well. We had rule for infinity when they tied is make a fraction out of 6 and 9.
Yeah.
That's still legal. But it can also be done with L'Hopital's rule.
Okay.
Yep, you have multiple outs. So like when we do the final exam, there's like a whole page of limits. You can either do all those old skills or all the new skills or mix and match. They're all valid. Something up to 30. $31 is a trickier one. It's no answer. 32, you have to go twice to make it work. It'll be 16. 33, make sure you remember to put the E back into it because you do an ln at the beginning. Make sure E reemerges later. It's not just 2, it's E to the 2. Help on those.
We'll get through 33.
33, so do an ln just to be able to manipulate the power. Power can slide to the front, but since it's a fraction, it looks more natural if you just scooch that x power from the beginning ultimately to the bottom. So top has ln of the parentheses, bottom has an x.
Yep.
Then when you do the derivative, the bottom has a 1, and that's like the stump of the Christmas tree looking shape. The top doesn't make quite as much of a Christmas tree look because the ln derivative on the top is a fraction, where the bottom is the parentheses we've had all along. The top's the derivative of that, which is usually a little smaller. This still has 2 terms survive. It has e to the x plus 1 on that top.
Okay.
Then plug in 0. E to the 0 makes 1s. X itself becomes 0. So you get like a 2 on top of a 1 on top of a 1, which is a 2.
Okay.
And then you pay for that original ln by getting an e back in it, e to the 2. Same stuff the quiz had, just a little bit less variety. In there. 34, similar to the quiz, just also like a little bit less variety. Nothing that you had to draw a picture for on this made the translation from quiz to test. But that's maybe bad news. I think all the pictures were drawn fine. But 34 is negative, a half. 35, a lot of stuff happens, it ends up being 0. 36, some stuff happens, ends up being negative 2. 37, best answer has a negative 20 on top, an x on the bottom, and then under a root, an x to the 8th minus 25. But to get there, you either had to manipulate fractions or you had to manipulate negative exponents. You could have rewritten the original problem to have negative exponents. You could have flipped the original problem to have fractions. It's kind of up to you where your stronger suit is between negative power or fraction manipulations. 38's a little bit easier. It's fractions inside of fractions, but it's not as big of a mess. It's just 3 on top in the end, x squared plus 9 on the bottom. Anybody need help with manipulating that one?
38.
38. Did you have originally on top a 1/3?
Yeah.
Bottom x squared over 9 plus a 1?
Yes.
Okay. Then the biggest bottom you have is 9, so multiply everything by 9. So the 9 will kick
Why?
that because we can't have fractions inside of fractions.
How does this look on your...
1/3 on top of a big fraction bar. And then x squared plus.
Because I keep moving the 3 down.
Okay, I wouldn't do that at first.
Okay.
So I'd go at first 1/3 on top, and then x squared over 9 plus 1 is the bottom.
Okay, and then,
If you want to move the 3 down, you can, but that x squared over 9 plus 1, do you have that?
yeah,
Okay, that would have to be in parentheses.
so it's gonna, okay.
Then the
I'm
3 would
good
distribute
now.
into that.
I'm good now.
Okay. Any more to 38?
37.
37. How did you do it? Did you do it as a sign with negative powers, or did you
Yes.
flip it and do it as a cosecant?
I just.
Did it as a sign. So you'd have on top -20 x to a -5.
Oh. Okay, yes. At -3. But
Okay.
yes.
And then bottom root 1 minus 25x -8.
Yes.
Okay. So under the root, you'd multiply by x to a +8 to fix that problem.
Okay, I
On top, where it's not being rooted, that x to the 8 transforms into an x to the 4 to multiply. You with that?
got you. Yeah, so then there's just one x left on the bottom.
X, yeah, an x to the -1 would be a temporary top, but then you scooch it down.
Okay.
Good enough?
Okay.
More to 38. #39 is probably the easiest of those. It just sort of works. There's a -4e to the 4x on the top. The bottom has a root 1 minus e to the 8x now. 40's not bad either. You just get a little bit of canceling of some x's on top, cancel some x's on bottom. But a -7 on top, an x that gets left on the bottom that stays in the bars because the bars had an odd power of x's, so you're just stuck with it. And then under a root, x to the 14 minus 1. Something on that pair.
Yeah. 40?
So 40, original top would be 7x to the 6.
Yeah.
Original bottom has x to the 7 in bars and a root, x to the 14 minus 1. Do you have a card flaw? Because that's all just coming straight from the card.
Yeah, I think I'm fine on the card.
Okay, because the card would say du on top.
Yeah.
That's the 7x to the 6th. Card would say u in bars, that's x to the 7 in bars. And card would say root u
But
squared
isn't
minus
the
1.
thing in bars, secant?
No. Secant and cosecant share the same formula. The only difference to cosecant's formula is you chuck a negative on it.
I thought that was the same as sine.
No.
Oh.
So that might explain some issues from quiz if you have quiz issues on that section. Cosecant shares a formula with secant. Cosine shares a formula with sine. And cotan shares the formula with tan in terms of card purposes.
I
In
thought
trig life,
I thought
when
the
you
cosine was with sine and secant was with.
No, if you flip them, cosine
the cosecant was with
becomes,
sine.
flipping cosine becomes secant.
Yeah, that's why I thought that it was.
Yeah, but
Okay.
not the card. The card,
Then, yeah, I should be fine.
okay. Anything to 40? 41 doesn't fit a format on the card, so you do a substitution. It's e to a power, just don't lose sight of the fact that e is like indestructible. So 41 answer is e to a power with inverse secant of x. Plus c, plus c, plus c, plus c, plus c, 5 plus c's. Somebody missed the plus c yesterday, but I had pity on you. And instead of taking a half point, I just wrote fix. 42 is 1 on top, 5 root 7 on the bottom, inverse secant, a fraction that has 5x on top of root 7, and ideally the bar is just around the x of that. 43 is 1 on top of 3 root 10, inverse tan, fraction, 3x over root 10. 64, plank the 6 out of the way. When you factor by completing the square, it's going to create a half for the answer, and the half and the 6 conglomerate together later to be a 3. It's 3 inverse tan, x plus 4 over 2. And then the last one's a factor by completing the square. Make sure you take a negative out when you start to factor. That's going to change the 10x to be a minus 10x. That's going to make an x minus 5 in your answer. The grand total on 45 will be inverse sign, parentheses, fraction-y kind of thing, x minus 5 on top of 5.
What was 42?
42 was 1 on top of 5 root 7, inverse secant, fraction 5x over root 7, and then bars ideally just around the x. But if you did bars around the whole fraction, I'm not going to take points for things like that right now. There's enough other things to worry about on this test.
Say 43 again.
43 again is 1 on top of 3 root 10, inverse tan. Fraction there is 3x on top of root 10. Again, I'll make a pitch for those last 2 pages we just did. Try to get those fixed as soon as you can while it's fresh on your mind and before you take the test, because that's going to be the easiest way to do it and the most beneficial thing for your test is to get that quiz done.
You could also say 44.
44 is 3, inverse tan, fraction, which is x plus 4 over 2. Explanations, anybody, anything on that back page? Historically, these quizzes have been all over the place. You guys are pretty good at those. I think we had 3 A's and a B. Some years have had all A's. There was another year pretty recently, there were 2 F's out of 2 people. Like it's been, or no, 2 D's. 2 people, 2 D's. And then we had a lot of stuff to try to clean out between the quiz and the test. Last call, nothing more. People on the video might be sad. I wanted more info, but too bad for them.